I like that. Ooh, I like
that. So, good morning, all that fun stuff. So for some reason this week it's been very productive and I've slept well, but I feel like it's still not enough sleep, like one of those weeks. But I want to tell you something quickly that happened yesterday, and then we can get into our topic of the day. And if this person is watching, there were 6 people on this call that knew this, and I'm not going to say names, but they will know I'm talking about them, and that's perfectly fine. I was on a call yesterday, and there was 1 out of 7 people that had no idea what the Rocky Horror Picture Show was. And they were of age that they should have known. Am I making sense? Like,
how many of them had been to a live show?
I believe most of them, if not, you get my point. But it was like, it's amazing to me what I consider as like normal life experiences, for lack of better terms, right? In what some people's life experiences are, right? Mm-hmm. Because there was even somebody from Australia, and it's fine for me to say this because it was Dom, and he was like, it's even big here. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to say where this person's from, but it should have been big there too, because I don't want to call people out that didn't, like Dom could
right.
But if it's big, in Australia and like people know about it, then this other person, it was just very funny to think about what I consider common knowledge. Maybe you never went, but to say like you'd never heard of it, or like, and
well, I think it's one of Curry's most known.
Put him on the map. You know what I mean? Like, obviously a million things after that, but yeah. And so I guess that was my first thought of the day was, wow, what are all the things that we have experienced that we expect people to know, right? And they don't. Now that was does not impact your life at all. You know what I mean? But I think it leads into our topic of the day of possibly how managers, and I'm even going to go with managers of households, right? People that have children, things like that. The things that we assume as a manager that an employee knows because we knew that as an employee. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Like, well, I knew how to run the fax machine as an employee, and I'm dating myself. You like that? Okay. So, but you don't? How do you not know how to run a fax machine? I knew how to run a fax machine, right? Go. I don't know if that was really where you went with the different mindsets of managers and employees, but that's what popped into my head of that expectation of knowledge that they may not have.
I think, I think that there's so many different ways, and that does lead into a little bit of that conversation, right? Training. I worked at a job where, and you and I had this conversation. I worked for a company who had higher up people who were managing and maintaining the new onboarders, and the new onboarders were informed of new policies and new procedures that those higher ups were not informed of. And so when you as an employee know things, but you're being told you're wrong, and you're like, wait, no, they just told me that. Like, don't gaslight me, right? I was just trained that. And so in that position, like, I had to draw that attention to them, and they're like, oh, we need to train them. Oh, we don't retrain after we hire, or we don't properly share policies. And that really creates a void, right? When an employee feels like they know more than a manager, or they feel like, hey, I'm doing this the way that I was told and trained, but yet other people aren't, and my own management team is not following suit, right? And I think that's a big part of that mentality idea of sometimes, even just as a really good person who has common courtesy, when you're in customer service, sometimes you you have a different mindset, a mindset of customer first, let's get this taken care of. And other people around you don't have that mindset. And so you're struggling with that management of like, how do I manage and maintain what I do versus not be upset that the rest of the team isn't doing it this way?
Yeah.
Right. Or if you are a new trainee and you're trained things and you're told, hey, we're about to implement this across the board, but for right now, everybody is sitting with where they're at. But these are our new implementations. You're being trained them. And so you as the employee, right, have a different mindset, a different skill set than everybody else. And you have to maintain of, I can't manage you. I can't tell you, I can't, but also when you have we talk about it all the time, people are changing jobs so often. You're going from a management position to a non-management position. So how do you turn that mindset off? And I think there's a lot of different examples I just gave.
No, but I think it is like the one you gave where like somebody was trained, a new person was onboarded. We onboard people and have their peers train them. Mm-hmm. Right. And I'm not saying that's not always a good thing, but excuse me, it could be a bad thing. Because if that person isn't a trainer, like if they aren't good at that, or they're changing processes because they think it's better. How many times have we worked somewhere where you meet somebody and they're like, well, I know what the policy manual says, but you know what I mean? Or the procedure says to do X, Y, Z, but you always do Z first. And you're like, oh, there's a reason it's X, Y, Z. You know what I mean? And so if that person isn't a trainer, are they the best person to train? And if you have your own business or any company, really, like as a manager, you have to say, would it be better if I took a couple of days and trained new hires, or train somebody to be a trainer? I come with a lot of experience from the Red Cross, and one of the things that they talk about all the time is train the trainer, mm-hmm. right? And so just because you know how to do something does not mean you know how to show somebody else how to do something.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge, like you said, well, I know how to use a fax machine. Why can't you send this fax, right?
Right.
Well, we haven't sent fax in a while. And this is a weird request that we just had. Mm-hmm. And it's not a part of the training material anymore. It's not a part of what is required. We send emails or, different things like that. And so, but then also that's where you come back and you say, hey, is there a way that I can email this to you? But right, if you're not sure on faxing it, and you don't have the right procedures, you can always ask the person you're talking to, hey, can I do it this way? Or is there a workaround for this? Or talk to your boss and say, hey, this is the requirement. What do we do? But for a manager to like assume, right? Like you said, sometimes we outdate things. We outgrow them.
Well, yeah. And one thing that happened over the weekend, it was a rant because fax machine didn't come up, but something came up. And we were talking and I used the word Xerox. Right? Now, Xerox is a company. I get that. But I'm like, yeah, we need to Xerox this. And we had a long conversation of how there's certain words that just like a Gen Z or even early millennial isn't going to know, right? Yeah. But if I would have said we need to copy this or make a copy of this, that would have made sense. But the fact that I used the word Xerox, showed my age, let's go with that. But also, it showed that there's that barrier that we could have in that training also. If somebody's using a term that they used at an old job or whatever, and they're not training properly, they might get misinformation, right? Yeah. But also we can't assume, if you're using a word, or again, I bring it back to the Red Cross because it's very funny. Acronyms. right? So how many times have you been at a job that you speak in acronyms? The Red Cross does it all the time. And we literally have this concept that if you hear an acronym without a definition with it at a meeting, you're supposed to say something immediately. Like, what does that mean? Even if you know what it means, because there could be somebody in the room that doesn't and doesn't want to feel stupid. Right?
Yeah.
And that's part of training too. Have you ever just felt like your trainer treated you like you were an idiot?
Yeah, that's a big thing, right? When you go in and you're being trained and you feel like you're not being set up for success.
Right.
Like you're being treated you're not going to catch this, so I'm just going to run you through it.
Yeah, we're just going to gloss over it. It doesn't matter anyways, like that concept. It's like, ugh.
Well, and I think with that concept too, right? There's times where we're like, oh, well, this other person in the department handles this, so we're not going to cover it. Okay, that other person can't make it to work. I need to do this. You didn't teach me, and now you're upset because I can't cover for them.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, and you and I talk about this a lot too, knowing the full circle, the full compass of your position, right?
Yes.
And that's a huge, when you're training, I know that there's two parts. I work with financial aid and my admission side. I need to know a little bit more about financial aid so that I can properly help the transition, right?
Sure.
And so those different spaces of like, how do we mesh together? Yes, we have an admissions team. Yes, we have a financial aid team, but we need to be a team together. And so I think that, and we do pretty good, but I think that kind of goes into any business where if you're marketing and you're marketing, but you're against what the sales rep is doing, right? Like
right.
Your marketing team and your sales rep, they need to have the same verbiage. They need to be using, because if somebody calls in and is like, I want your XYZ, and the sales guy's like,
what is that?
And you describe it and they're like, that's ABC. We're talking in different languages. And so we need to make sure that we all have that same cycle, that same verbiage, and culture, right? In a business, what is the culture? How do we want to present this? And I think that's huge.
So I've been in a lot of roles, not more recently, but in my past, where I was borderline the lowest person on the totem pole, right? So at the Boy Scouts, I'll use that as an example. I was the office manager, and it sounded really way better than it was. I was basically the gopher, the scheduler, the name it, that was low level on the totem pole job in an office. That's what I was doing, and it was fine. I loved it, right? That wasn't the point. The point was, though, I in a sense kept asking, I need to know what this person does so I know who to send to them. I need to know what this person's what this program is, because if somebody asks me and nobody's here, I need to be able to answer it. I asked over and over and over and over again. And it was a concept that I felt like they thought I was trying to take their job. Am I making sense? I'm like, no, I don't want your job. Trust me, I do not want your job, right? The last thing I want to do is recruit small children into a program. That is my worst idea fun ever.
But I want the parents to know that's an option. While they're right here with me, This is an option.
Exactly, right? But I don't want to be running around to schools to recruit kids, not my thing. But if somebody asks me a question, I also don't want to be like, oh no. Right? Who wants to be that person when you're the first person somebody walks in to see, right? And the reason I'm bringing this up, though, is because when someone asks to be trained on something, whether it's their job, yes, you should do it. If it's not their job per se, but they want to just know what that department does, it's okay to say, I can't do it now, but let's plan something on the calendar, because I do want you to know everything that's happening. And by that, it's a succession plan, right? In the case of, say, the Boy Scouts, if One person decides to fall off the face of the earth for a good reason. They won the lottery. I don't know, right? Who's going to do their job if nobody knows exactly what they do or how they do it?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and I think that even that mentality is still good inside of a sales team, right?
Yeah.
If I answer the phone and it's another salesperson's customer, instead of me passing the buck and being like, oh, here, go to their voicemail so they can call you back, I'm able to sit on the phone and talk to you, give you those answers. That way, when you are ready for your purchase or you are ready for your, anything like that, you're already fully acknowledged and you know what you're doing. And it's not me trying to take the sale from somebody, it's me prepping them so that you get your sale. And I think that there's a lot of people who are like, oh, well, why'd you talk to my customer that long? Why didn't you just transfer? You were busy. I was assisting, right?
Right. And you're not trying to take the sale. This is the basic information. Hey, I processed this online. Did it get through? I think I messed up my email. Can you change that or update my address? I don't know. The silly things that would take somebody 5 minutes, but if you send them to voicemail, it's going to take 3 hours.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
And when somebody gets that like kind of high and mighty in their job where they're like, oh, you're trying to steal it? Really?
I got it. I have your job.
Right. I have your job in a different role, or I have my job, and trust me, I could have applied to yours and I didn't want it. So like, yeah.
And really that team mentality of putting the customer first, putting the client first, making sure that we're not putting them in a black hole of voicemail. I have a client right now who I keep telling them to call a specific company for a specific reason. And they're like, I've gotten voicemail 3 times. I'm like, cool, let me reach out to some people and get you a call back, right? And so at some point you have to take responsibility for what does it look like. And I think that goes into that manager mode of that goes back into that thought process of if I know, if I answer a phone and I'm like, oh, this person, you belong to this person. And if I send you to their voicemail, you're probably not going to get heard, right? You're probably going to get missed. So then you take on that manager mode of, okay, I'm going to manage this. How am I going to manage this? I'm going to do this, 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 and this. And then I'm going to send a message. And then I'm going to hope and pray that my message that got sent gets followed up on, right? Or I'm going to, and sometimes we have to let those things go. Yes, this is what I can do. I can manage this situation, send my message, and after that it's up to the people above me and the people I sent it to take control, right? And you can't carry that throughout your day, because if that happens every time, you're going to be stuck. And that's that, like, as great as it is to, and Sarah and I always talk about this, there's, those different types of people who are at work. You've got the people who are just there, the people who want to do as much as possible, the people who want to rise above and beyond. Sometimes you have to let it go because you can't always be the rise above and beyond.
Yes. And I think what pops into my head in that is when you go beyond learning someone else's job and you turn into doing someone else's job, because somewhere in your mind, you can be a better widget maker or a better manager or a better whatever. And so you get that thought into your head and you start taking over something. Yeah. That's when it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, no, I'm going to take that back because it's probably more than sometimes. For me, it's one of the reasons that I like to be a consultant versus a coach. Okay. And let me explain for the people out there that aren't watching, but maybe will later. A coach asks you questions and walks you through getting to a point of fixing your own problem. Sarah's problem in this is I figure out the problem long before you do. And I want to just like grab you by the shoulder, shake you, and be like, do these 3 things and it'll be fixed. Right? And as a consultant, especially in businesses, I can go in, ask all these questions. And you know this from the tech side of your business as opposed to the individual side of your business. But the tech side of your business, you look at it, you're like, I know what'll fix your problem. You have to get a XYZ, and here's 5 versions, small price to large price, good platform to bad platform. Tell me which one you want, and we'll figure out implementing it. Because I see your problem. But you can't do that necessarily in an office environment. You can't be like, well, I'm on a sales position, but my VP is horrible and I could do their job 4 times over. So you start doing things before the VP's role comes into a process or something like that. And you can really F things up for yourself and for the company potentially.
Yeah. Well, and right when you're taking on those roles, one, if somebody's not doing things, document it, take it above their head and say, hey, these are the things that aren't working. What is the game plan? How can we, or even they're probably not going to tell you. We had an example a while ago where I filed a complaint on somebody at a different company and nobody reached out to me about it.
Oh, no, that's untrue. You got an email when it got closed without any.
Yeah, I got it. No, I didn't get an email. I had to log in.
To see it. That's closed. Right. Yeah, but there was an indicator that
there was not even, it was just me like going to search to see, hey, what's up? No. But, sometimes, but being able to document it, because if you just start fixing the problem, 1, nobody knows there's a problem. And 2, you fixed the problem before somebody noticed it.
Well, now, yes. And I will say though, like every once in, like if you come across something that you can fix in 5 minutes and it will really make a difference, fix it once and write that down.
Yeah.
If it happens a second, third, fourth, quintuplet time, right? Like then you need to bring it to somebody's attention. But like, okay, like we're going to go back to Xeroxing and copying. If you go to copy something and the ink cartridges are out, and then you go like once a week and the ink cartridges are out again, you're like, we shouldn't be going through ink cartridges this many times. Yeah. I fixed it, a couple of weeks in a row, but this is getting ridiculous. Somebody's eating the ink cartridge. And so then you bring it to somebody's attention. But you got to say, hey, I changed it this day and this day and this day. And I think there's something wrong with the copier or whatever process is happening. If you just go on the first time and be like, oh, well, I changed the ink. Well, good for you. Right. Yeah. There has to be a documentable problem, which I think is usually 2 or 3 instances.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, right? Is if we take that manager position where like, we're going to fix it, the company can't fix it. Like you said, that's detrimental because the company can't fix it. If it's a position if it's somebody not doing their position correctly, or if it's even the system, the process, right, is incorrect. Hey, this is a flaw that I'm finding. And here's the thing, guys, like when you're a new employee and you do things, you're going to see things differently than the employees who have been here because they've worked that situation, they've worked around it, they've accepted it, they've whatevered. So when you are fresh eyes, sometimes you're going to pull some things that people just took as whatever. And so the response might be, yeah, just deal with it. But the response could be, you know what, that's a good point. Let's see what we can do.
Right.
let's look at that. And look, guys, I took on a new job. I'm a business owner. I have a manager brain and severe ADHD. That's why we have this topic today. Because Brittany is struggling so hard.
But this is weird too. No, 100%. And this is why I don't know if I can go back to a traditional 9 to 5 again. But one of the things like that just popped into my head is I have one client who I write down instructions for how to do things, right?
Mhm.
And she has this little book now. She prints them out and puts them in the little book. And I always tell her, I'm like, when you go through it, I want you to tell me what's wrong, because I know the process in my head to get from point A to point B. But because I've done point A to point B, or I'll go point A to point C, I done it so many times that sometimes I forget to tell people there's a B, right? Don't forget you have to do B. And there's been probably 1 out of every 5 or 6 I send her. She's like, hey, when I went in there, it said to do this first before that. And I'm like, that's great. I will change my little page here. You change your little page there, and I'll know for the next person.
Yep.
And I think that happens a lot of businesses, right? And I'm going to go with, I've went through the financial aid process more times than I would want. So I'll use your financial aid people as an example. There are glitches in the matrix when it comes to filing for student aid, financial aid, whatever you want to call it. And I know for a fact that there's a couple people in your financial aid department that just bypass that, know how to get around it, know what to put in to make it fly on the back end. And that doesn't mean they're doing anything wrong. I'm saying it's not part of the policy. It's not in the training manual, right? And that kind of can get some things in trouble with the next person, right? Because we think we're doing the right thing. Oh, that's just a glitch in the matrix. I know how to get around it. Have you written down how to get around it? So if you win the lottery, the next person knows how to get around it? No.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. We are going to end early, guys. So Sarah, tell us who you are.
I don't know anymore. No. I am Sarah. I'm with Off the Beaten Path Consulting. I build leadership and HR programs, policies, and procedures for small and medium-sized companies. And I think most of that is boring. So I have developed a series of leadership development coloring books, which are fun and apparently sitting on Brittany's desk at the moment. She has the OG covers. I don't know if she even knows that I updated the covers over the summer.
Yes, you told us last week.
Oh, that's right.
And the week
but yes, so a lot of people have the OG covers. So hey, if y'all want to buy new ones, feel free. No, I'm joking. But yeah, that is me. So who are you and what do you do?
My name is Brittany, and I am the owner of BizStorming. I help business owners really just function inside their business and make a foundation that they can build from. But also I work a day job, so it's all around. But I will see all of you guys next week.
Wait, and who are we? You forgot.
I said this is Unleashed, as you said.
Okay, go ahead.
This is Unleashed, and this is where Sarah and I talk about business and anything in between. We really like to open up and just kind of let you know, as business owners and as people who've been in the workforce, we get it. We know what you're going through, and we're here.
Yep. See you next week.